Been a little while since I made a video, and you know, what's been on my mind is how we tend to look for a solution that will work every single day for everything that we have going on in our life. But there isn't really a one size fits all that works all the time. You kind of have to change your strategy and do different things based on what your current needs in life are in the moment. And I'll show you a picture here because I think it illustrates a really good idea of what I'm trying to get at. This is the public library downtown Seattle. And the designer, the architect who created this strange looking building had come up with the idea that if you are going to break with convention, you should imagine what you want the inside of the building to look like based on what you're going to do inside the building, and then let the external shape of the building contour around the actual function. So instead of having a square building and then figuring out how to fit function into that form, the architect suggested that it's better to create a vision of function and then contour the physical form around that vision of function. So if you go inside that building, you would see a lot of different things which are mindfully created, and then the exterior of the building was designed around what they wanted the inside to be like. So the inside is quite intriguing and the outside is kind of funky looking. And I think that that's an interesting allegory. Maybe we could apply it in our lives. What do we hang on to maybe? What do we imagine we need? And then we hang on to it all the time. Like we never let go of anything. And we think, well, I have to always go back to these specific things. And, you know, it could be something like a workout routine. It could be your job. It can be the Netflix subscription. And, you know, I'll give you another example. I have been playing Elder Scrolls Online far less than I used to, because I've been wanting to spend time playing other games that are in my library, other games that I haven't even gotten around to. And so then I kind of felt this almost a sense of betrayal kind of in walking away from some of these MMOs, because there is a sort of a sense of it being almost like a real place. It's something that I have a sort of a personal connection to on some level, and I don't want to just walk away from it. But then I also think to myself, well, I don't want to pay $15 a month for a couple different MMOs, and then I'm paying hundreds of dollars a year for a game that I don't really play that much, and then I feel a sense of obligation that I kind of have to play the game because I'm paying for it. And then I also have these feelings of, well, why am I paying so much for a game when I could go pay far less for a AAA title that is in many ways delivering a better experience, other than the fact that it's not a MMO. So there's a lot of different things that I kind of have thought about. And then I realized I don't really have to pay for ESO Plus. It's okay to just be without premium and play the game without the crafting bag or whatever else you get as a result of being an ESO Plus member. But I didn't realize that until I just let my subscription lapse, and then realized, wait a second, you know, I don't necessarily need to even worry about paying for that subscription because I can access the game without it. I can do all the things that I typically would do in a gameplay loop without paying for the sub. But I kind of had to get over a hump to realize that. I had to actually experience it and think it out to realize I don't necessarily need to have an active sub all the time. And that doesn't mean that I won't ever have the sub again either. If I really realize that I want to do something that the sub is going to provide, then I can always subscribe again later. But we tend to want to hang on to stuff. And then we get too much baggage. And it's okay to let stuff go, and then you pick it up again when you need it. I just subscribed to Netflix, for example, and I hadn't for a while, because there's a few shows that I want to watch. And it's a really great value if you think about how much content you're able to access for not very much money. But that's not a lifetime commitment. That doesn't mean that I can't unsubscribe after a month or two when I've finished watching the shows and movies that I want to watch on there. I wanted to watch Sword Art Online as well, so I subscribed to Crunchyroll so I could do that. And I watched 2 seasons of Sword Art Online, and I think it's a cute show. I like it. But there's a lot of episodes, and I just kind of found myself not wanting to watch any more of it. I felt like I got an idea of the main characters, I got an idea of the story, I enjoyed what I did watch, and now I have a new series to be a fan of, but I didn't really want to watch any more right now. So I just went ahead and I unsubscribed. Now, maybe I will subscribe again after a while when I think to myself, oh, I would like to watch those and finish it up. But that doesn't have to be right now. And the point I'm getting at is sometimes you need to stop thinking that you're going to create a code that you follow every single day, rigidly, without any deviation, and you're going to kind of have this rule book you follow for the rest of your days. I think it's better to say, okay, I'm going to do what works for me right now. And sometimes that might just be taking a break from something. You know, I was exercising more, and that's great. I'm all for it. But then I started to track my steps on my phone. So I would always try to make sure that I at least got 21,000 steps, which worked out to be about 10 miles. And that's great. Until I realized that I was letting the step counter dictate my life then. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I would like to do some things, but I need to keep on exercising. I haven't gotten my steps in, so let me go do that. And then next thing you know, I'm spending hours out of my day doing something that I didn't really want to be doing. And it's all because I've made this rule. Like, I have to get a certain number of steps in. But then it's starting to disrupt my life a little bit. I'm not saying that you should never be a little bit inconvenienced. If you want change in your life, you do have to inconvenience yourself. You do have to break out of your routine. You have to break out of apathy if you want change. So that is true. But it's also true that sometimes it's okay to just have a lot of different things that interest you, and then you do those things and you try to be mindful in what you're doing when you're doing it, but you don't let the activities dictate your life. You live first, and then you let the activities in your life be tools for progression and advancement, but you don't become a servant to them. And I think we see it a lot in people's toxic behaviors with their jobs, with their pursuit of career. It could be obsession with video games. It could be, for that matter, as crazy as it sounds, obsession with family or with those we love. It's possible to become obsessed with something to the point where that thing is more important than anything else. That thing is more important than your life. And you aren't just having an adventure, being free, and pursuing things that interest you as you go along. You are becoming a servant to a routine that you don't have to be a slave to. So I've tried to let go of a little bit of the expectations, but that doesn't mean that I want to not have activities that I'm doing either. And, you know, I think it's easy to just kind of get lost in the bushes trying to have a rule that you follow all the time, and then it stops suiting you, it stops serving you, but you still feel like you have to uphold the same routine for loyalty's sake. It's okay to take a break from things. It's okay to pause sometimes. It's okay to say that something works well for a specific moment or a specific season in your life, and that's not necessarily going to define you forever either. So, I don't know what else I really got to say other than that was kind of what was on my mind. And lately I've just been playing a lot of city building games and looking around for other things that I have in my library. Like I've been playing Wolfenstein New Order, about basically you're fighting Nazis in a castle, and there's sort of a science fiction element to that. And I've been playing around with Star Wars Squadrons in VR and Flight Simulator in VR and some of those cool experiences I had not had before. Been playing a lot of City Skylines 2 and Anno 1800. All things considered, just kind of staying interested in a lot of random things. I've thought to myself, you know, I don't want to go through my life and then never experience basic things that I wanted to do all along. Like a video game that I've had in my library for years. Do I really want to get old and that's one of the things I just never got around to? Like, how hard is it to just hit play on some of the things that you enjoy, some of the things that you are curious about? And it doesn't mean that you have to finish them 100%. It's just you gotta do this stuff. It's like this channel. I wanted to make YouTube videos, and I guess sometimes I think to myself, you know, I want to make better content. But then, do I really? Do I really want to spend hours out of every day making higher quality content? Not really, because when I start thinking, well, I'm going to do higher quality content, I'm going to really put myself into it more, then you know what happens? I wind up not doing it at all. Because really what I enjoy is just sharing things that I'm already doing and having a candid conversation about it in a way that, you know, kind of shares my life with other people. That's really kind of all I enjoy doing as far as the YouTube aspect goes. I think when you play a game or you go out in the world and you do something, it's nice to share that experience with somebody, talk about it to somebody. And YouTube is a really great medium for making that possible. And I think it makes the experiences I have more interesting if I know that somebody else may be enriched by them as well. But then as soon as you start focusing so much on it that you put the sharing ahead of the experience, then it stops being fun too. That's why I don't do gameplay videos really, because I don't want to be playing a game, but instead of playing the game, I'm thinking about what I have to say, and I'm trying to entertain other people. That's not really fun. And then at that point, the game becomes work, becomes a chore, and then I don't want to even play the game at all. The reason I like playing a MMO casually on the channel while I talk about stuff is just because I think just casually exploring a MMO world while talking about life kind of vibes well with the concept of what I had in mind when I made the channel. It's kind of like if you were just out and about exploring the countryside with a friend, you know? Like, isn't that pretty cool? It's not even that you have a plan of what you're going to talk about. You're just going along, doing random stuff. It's kind of mindless. And then you feel better afterwards because you had company. Like, even if you were just, you know, going for a hike with a friend, you might not have that much in common with the person, but something about just that mixture of passive activity and camaraderie. You wind up feeling like you're closer and you're better off mentally when you're done. So that's kind of what we're all about. We're just off on a little trek through some kind of an MMO world talking about life, because video games kind of are a mirror of life in many ways. And I also think they're a safe place because the world is filled with all sorts of contentious things and ideas that maybe you can get yourself in trouble with people if you talk too much about, because people are closed-minded often and people get irritated or angry about things. Everyone has an opinion. But in gaming, you know, it's just easier. You can talk about a lot of different things in the safe space of gaming because everyone understands that there's a certain level of casualness to it. I mean, it is a game after all, so why would we be super hardcore and at each other's throats? And so I think that that's a nice thing about playing games, but then there can be a serious element to it too. Like, it doesn't have to be that it's 100% just frivolous. Sometimes you can use a entertaining medium as a way to explore serious and meaningful things. So in closing, I guess it's important to keep your tab open for new experiences which may come along, while also being open to cherishing the old experiences which will always be a part of your memory. Try to always be open to new things while also enjoying the things you already have. Till next time, good luck on your adventure, and thank you for watching. Bye now.